And this is the story that has me fired up tonight. You know, I love it when politicians use charts. This guy used a chart. Yesterday, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm watching Meet the Press. And I see this Ryan guy. I don't know this Ryan guy. I mean, he's from Wisconsin. I don't know how he voted, so I checked it out. Let's see. He voted for the AIG bailout. He voted for TARP. He voted for Medicare prescription drug. He even voted for the bridge to nowhere. So don't let him fool you like he's just this guy that isn't going to spend any money. So he shows up on Meet the Press with this chart. Here's what he has to say about the future.
What matters is we try to fix the country's problems. Look, let me just show you. This is the debt that the CBO says we're going to have. We're giving our children a lower standard of living. Our plan pays the debt off. So we really believe we need to own up to the fact that the country is on an unsustainable path, and we've got to do something to fix this.
You know, there's a lot of angles there. You know, there's a few different colors in there. Charts. Don't you love charts? One thing about charts, when somebody shows up with charts, that means they're prepared and they're ready to explain exactly where they want to take the country. Congressman, I got a bigger chart than this one. Take a look at my chart. It shows where private sector jobs have really come from under the Obama administration and the direction of the Democrats, because they haven't gotten any help from you. But, you know, before we go to that, let's just play a little game here. Let's say you're the owner. You own this business. I mean, you own it. You started from the ground up. You earned it. And you don't want to run it anymore, so you hired somebody to run it. And this person was running it. And this is, things got kind of tough. You know, this is your business. And some decisions were made along the way here. And holy smokes, we started losing market share. You started losing jobs. And about right here, you start thinking, you know, maybe I don't have the right guy. Maybe I don't have the right set of employees. Maybe I better step in and make some changes. So you make some changes. It's tough. Change is tough. You make the changes. And then all of a sudden, things are still tough, and you're wondering, well, you know, what are we going to do here? Do I got the new guy? Do I have the right team in place again? And then things start to change a little bit. And then they get better as the months go on. And then all of a sudden, holy smokes, we're back making $1 again. Look at this. Look at it. We got 13 months of making money. But you know what? The back chatter in the industry, you're the owner, and you're hearing this. You go to lunch, and you hear other business people talking. You hear this back chatter, and you hear, well, you know, these people should have been fired. You know, they were really wronged over here. I mean, their plan should have worked, but, you know, these people were really mean to them over here, and they said some things to the people about, you know, how they could run it better. But, you know, these people still think they should be running the company, running your company. Let's do a little refresher course on exactly how they were running the company. Let's go to the guy who was running the company back at his last State of the Union address back in 2008. What did he say? How did he want to run the company? Here it is.
Most Americans think their taxes are high enough. With all the other pressures on their finances, American families should not have to worry about the federal government taking a bigger bite out of their paychecks. There's only one way to eliminate this uncertainty: make the tax relief permanent.
Did he say he wanted to not only run it the way he's been running it, but wanted to kind of put it on steroids like forever? Like always stay with that plan? Well, that was in early 2008. Then we started shedding these jobs, and the company was really in trouble. And then all of a sudden, they had to make some decisions. And then John Boehner shows up, the minority leader in the House, and he says, doggone it, what do you say we spend some money? What do you say we do the TARP program? Here's what he had to say. Let's not forget.
Think about the jobs that'll be lost. If I didn't think we were on the brink of an economic disaster, it would be the easiest thing in the world for me to say no to this. But I believe the risk in not acting is much higher than the risk in acting. This Congress has to do its job.
Okay, game over. Now let's get to the real politics. We have a new president. He takes over in January of 2009, and look what he inherited. A company that was shedding employees, a company that was losing money, a company where record deficit, record debt, record foreign debt, jobs going overseas, nobody's got any health care. This crowd didn't do anything about health care for a long time, for 8 years, and they're gone now. So here comes a new guy. His name's Barack Obama. He's the new president. He says, you know what? We gotta stimulate the economy. We gotta spend some money the same way they spent some money back here on Wall Street. What do you say we do something for the employees? And John Boehner says, no, I don't want to do that. He wanted TARP, but he didn't want this. Here's what he said on the House floor.
Not one member's read this. What happened to the promise that we're going to let the American people see what's in this bill for 48 hours? But nope, we don't have time to do that.
No, you know what he did? He just took millions of jobs and threw them right on the floor because he didn't believe that American workers could do it. Oh, yeah, workers, investing in workers here in America. Remember, the folks that were running this company, they didn't want to do it. They were against the auto loan. It was not a bailout. It was a loan, and it's being paid back. They didn't believe in American workers. In fact, one of their leaders in the Republican Party said this in the midst of this recovery. Here it is.
For the government to now go in, we're going to have $70 billion of exposure from the taxpayer standpoint put into this car company. Nobody in Washington knows how to run a car company.
Nobody knows how to run a car company because they're union people, the United Auto Workers. We don't want to do anything for them. Hell, let's ship the jobs overseas. But all of a sudden, things started to turn. And the car industry starts to turn around, and we're actually selling trucks again in America, and we're actually getting some new innovation when it comes to transportation in America. And look where these jobs are going now. Now we're into the positive ledger, aren't we? Now we're seeing job creation. This is, folks, this is the stimulus package working is what it is. This is investment in American workers. This is not shipping the jobs overseas. This is believing in what we can do at home. But you know what this crowd over here is still saying? They want to run it. And not one time has this crowd over here, the red team, not one time have they ever said, you know what, as a country, you can't deny the fact that we're headed in the right direction. They just can't bring themselves to the truth, can they? But they got their charts. Folks, let me tell you something. I was watching Rachel's show the other night, and she sent one of her guys out on the street to start asking some questions to people about who's in Congress and what their names are. And it was amazing to me how little people on the street knew. Let me just tell you one thing. This is the only chart you need to know come next election. This is the only chart you need to watch. This is the only chart that matters to American families. Are we headed in the right direction? And sometimes we get lost in the 24-hour news cycle and we don't see the progress the country's making. Here's the progress right here. Here's where the Democrats took over. Here's the plan right there. We never saw that during the Bush years. So get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's question. Who do you trust to create private sector jobs? Text A for the Democrats, text B for the Republicans, 622-639. And, of course, you can always go to our new blog at ed.msnbc.com, and we'll bring you the results later on in the show. Joining me now are three folks who know something about charts. Jeffrey Sachs, economist and director of the Earth Institute at Columbia University, and a couple of congressional members from New York, Yvette Clarke, and also Congressman Jerrold Nadler. Great to have you with us tonight.
Good to be here.
I want you to know, I didn't make that chart up, Jerry. I didn't make that chart up. What do you think of that chart?
Well, we've seen that chart before. It's actually completely true. It shows the job losses under the Bush administration month by month. We were losing 750 to 800,000 jobs a month when the Obama administration took office. It took a little time to turn it around, but every month we lost fewer jobs until eventually we went into the positive jobs, and we're gaining jobs. Now, we're not gaining jobs nearly fast enough.
We're never gaining jobs fast enough.
But we're gaining jobs as opposed to doing the other thing.
Is it safe to say we never gain jobs fast enough? I mean, the culture of the media, the culture of the political divide in the country, you could be adding 200,000 jobs a month, and they'd say, well, you didn't do 250,000. Well, you didn't do 250,000. You didn't do a half million.
It is true that during the Clinton administration, when we added 22 million jobs, which was a heck of a job, the Republicans were saying not good enough.
Congresswoman Clarke, you're on a hunger strike because of this radical Ryan budget that's out there. Why are you doing this?
Well, actually, it's a fast. And it's because I believe that we have to get some clarity here, that we have to get the American people focused on what's real. And what is being proposed by the Republicans, the reckless Republicans in Washington right now, is fictitious. Their agenda is one of destruction. It's clear to me. And I know those terms sound a bit drastic, but when you look at the cuts that have been done to the budget, the continuing resolution and what is being proposed in the Ryan budget, that's our families, that's our communities, that's destruction as we know it.
Mr. Sachs, taking a look at the Ryan budget, from what you know of it, he says he wants to save Medicare and Medicaid. Will it do that?
Well, it goes right out to destroy Medicaid within the next few years, slashing it drastically. And then on Medicare, he delays for 10 years. Then he goes out to destroy it, to make sure that that elderly people will not have a guaranteed access to health care. They will be getting some premium under his plan, but they're going to have to put a lot of money out of pocket. I think the problem, though, is that we have actually, in both parties and in the White House, we got a serious problem. We're already cutting some programs that people absolutely depend on, though we don't even hear what they are right now. Everything's kept secret 3 days after a so-called historic agreement was reached. We don't even know what's in it. And unfortunately, the president just keeps on caving to these pressures from the Republican side. So I don't know exactly where we are. It's not one side versus the other. It's a mess in Washington.
Is the president caving, Congresswoman?
I think that he's trying to do the best he can under the circumstances. The pressure has to come, I believe, from the American people who recognize just how critical it is for us to keep our social compact.
Well, the American people are saying shared sacrifice. There's no shared sacrifice in what Ryan is doing. And Congressman, the president is now, the word is he's going to put some tax increases on the table with his budget. I think it's long overdue. I don't think the Bush tax cut should have been extended. They haven't created any jobs.
The basic problem right now is that the Republicans keep saying their mantra is the country is broke, we have to cut services, we have to cut Medicare, we have to eliminate Medicare for all practical purposes, we have to cut Medicaid, cut everything. We don't hear anybody saying, and the president has not been saying what he should have been saying, which is the country is not broke. We're simply not taxing the big corporations enough. GE paid no taxes on $14 billion in profits. We're not taxing the millionaires and billionaires enough. The total revenues going to the government as a percentage of the GDP is lower than it's been at any time since 1930.
Mr. Sachs, if we do reinstate the Bush tax cuts or wipe them out and go back to the top 2%, go back to the old rate from 35 to 39.5%, what would that do? Would that turn it around?
That wouldn't turn around everything, but it's absolutely vital that we do that. That's why it was unforgivable for the White House and the Republicans at Congress to agree to that disastrous deal last December. And unfortunately, that put us $1 trillion into the hole for this year and next year. And now we're responding to that deeper hole by cutting programs for the poor. And this made absolutely no sense.
We're forgetting the history here. Under Bill Clinton, he took office when there was a big deficit. We increased taxes and cut some expenditures, but basically we increased taxes with not a single Republican vote back in 1993. The Republicans said the economy will collapse, joblessness will go up. We gained 22 million jobs.
Everything's in theory. There's this big theory out there by the Republicans that, you know what, if we give the richest people in the country more money, they're going to go out and create jobs, as if they know how the socially engineering is going to be taking place in this country.
Theory is well and good, but now we have the history.
That's right.
When Bush was elected, if you remember the campaign debate in 2000, it was what should we do with the $5.6 trillion surplus we're going to have in the next 10 years.
And Yvette, I want to ask you, the comment from Paul Ryan is that they're going to save Medicare and Medicaid. Well, your response to that?
They're obliterating it. Clearly, they're going after it. They want to privatize health care in America. Exactly. That has been their ongoing mission, is to privatize. And they want to make sure that our grandparents are the ones who suffer the consequences.
So it sounds to me like they want to put the government or the private insurance company in between the doctor and the patient for the elderly people. It sounds to me like this could be the new version of their death panels.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is...
And what's ironic in particular is you look at Mr. Ryan's budget, which the Republicans are going to vote through the House this week. He cuts $4.2 trillion in expenditures and cuts $4.3 trillion in taxes. Doesn't even reduce the deficit, really. He simply takes all that money from low and middle income people and from elderly people and gives it to the rich people and the corporations.
It's a wealth transfer program.
Quickly, Congresswoman, what do you need the president to do on Wednesday? I mean, does he have to stand tall for these entitlements?
And he needs to put revenues on the table.
He does. I agree with that. Economist Jeffrey Sachs, and also Representatives Yvette Clarke and Jerry Nadler, great to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much for coming in. Remember to answer tonight's question. there at the bottom of the screen. I want to know what you think. Calls for a federal investigation into the Wisconsin election results. That story is coming up. And next, the president's budget plan. Mr. Obama is expected to propose a tax increase on the rich. Will it fly?